gentlemen, I know you have been hearing about heavy loaded words of pharma since morning. And I think I have three gentlemen here who will be like, will be doing excellent work. I have less work now, but the budget is over. But Valentine's Day is coming. So I thought I'll start with a joke. Why did the generic drug break up with the branded drug? Anyone? Okay. Uh, uh, because we don't have time, the clock is clicking. Let me answer. Because it realized it was just as effective but was less expensive. So let me go to the first round of question. So I would like to go to Mr. Amit. Dawaa Dost is one of the, what do I say? I don't know, how did you think about it? Those being, Dawaa being a Dost and, the rural model, which is helping bridge a significant gap in medicine access by reaching the most remote corners of India in areas where traditional pharmacies are absent. So how do you manage to ensure the availability of medicines in such hard to reach destinations, and what challenges do you face in delivering quality medicines in these regions, especially with the push from online pharmacies and trade associations, while the central government remains largely silent on this issue? Can you just pick this up?
No, thank you for asking the question. See, unlike most people in this room, I don't come from healthcare. I'm a chartered accountant, worked in consumer goods companies all my life before I became an entrepreneur in healthcare. I think the opportunity that we saw when we started this in 2019 was twofold. One, access to Bharat, and when I talk Bharat, we're talking about 100 crore people who are underserviced or not serviced at all. And that is what we wanted to solve for. I personally come from a village in Jharkhand, and it's very, very sensitive to me. Secondly, we wanted to provide affordable solutions, and we had to mix this up together and think, if we go deeper into the country, how do I A, make medicine accessible, and B, make it very affordable. And so we have two promises. So in terms of accessibility, we innovated, and we actually worked with self-help group ladies we call Dawaa Didis. We have 1,300 of them working for us in Rajasthan as we speak. These are girls, ladies who go house to house in the remotest part of in Rajasthan. Someone mentioned a village of 5,000 is actually, we kind of touch villages of 50 to 60 households only. And we build tech solutions for them to originate orders. And we do the legal part of it, which is the prescription validation, discussion with the patient, because she is not capable of doing that. And we do the last mile delivery to the patients directly, using our last mile solutions. So that's something we've been building on. One of the things we've learned in terms of accessibility in rural is a massive challenge. Most online companies that we talk about today, all my larger peers, they've solved for India. So their target audience tends to be the top 20, 25 crore people of India. We start where they live. So, we are specialists in doing deliveries in villages where the address is ki neem ke ped se dusra ghar mera hai. Is the kind of deliveries we end up doing. There is no pin code. There is a pin code, but there is no specific pieces. I think the learning for us, it's been 6 years since we've been doing this. If we build trust with our end patient, they are less educated to uneducated. If we keep building trust with them, saying original, so the first set of users who come from a new village is always asking, "Mujhe original dawai ghar mein mil jayegi," and that is her first ask. She is not looking for discount. She is not looking for like that. It's her first reaction is ki original dawai, given how prevalent or she's used to buying inferior quality medicines there. And I think if you build that trust, she sticks with you. She respects the value that we offer, and that's been our journey on this side.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Amit. Let me go to Mr. Giri. Balancing the development of branded drugs with the growing demand for generics. Gland Pharma has built a strong reputation in injectables and generics. How do you see the balance between investing in complex generics and developing branded drugs?
So we at Gland Pharma, we continue to have invested in and building our capacities and capabilities in complex generics. Primarily, of course, the focus is the US market, but we do have a program for developing 19 complex generics with a total time of around $7 billion US. And of course, the balance is all about the cost pressures that we see in various healthcare systems across the globe, and many healthcare providers, institutions are coming forward to adopt generics in their policies, etc., and all of that. And there's a big shift that is happening, and we kind of in Gland Pharma started that. We don't anymore call our business as generics that we do in US. We call it an affordable medicine business. And that shift of affordable medicine and developing that is the key purpose that is moving all of us in Gland Pharma to develop more and more complex generics. And from a branded drug standpoint, and when a patent expires, this is also a good business case, offers a lot of good market growth margins, to companies like us to keep pushing that agenda. So the balance really is all about, how do you make your medicines more and more affordable while maintaining the quality that Gland stands for.
Let me go to Mr. Ashutosh. What are the factors which Lupin believes will drive the growth of trade generic sector? You also said generics is like a dark, horse.
It's
It
like
is
the dark horse of
horse,
Indian pharma, I would say.
so how do we bring it to light?
Thanks, Prathiba, for this question. See, like what Amit mentioned, today accessibility, availability, affordability, accessibility, that's a problem, and that's a real problem. We have seen trade generics exist in India for a couple of decades, but I guess there was always one reason why I personally feel it could not grow to the level of branded was that somewhere every patient felt that the quality of the trade generics is not at par with the branded. But the kind of changing scenario, I personally feel patients are getting aware of a lot of good companies which have affordable trade generic medicines, high quality. Lupin Life Sciences is one of them. Prima facie, because these companies are in the business of treating patients and not manufacturing and just selling drugs, right? So that's one thing which I personally feel, that with the awareness which comes amongst the patients, the trade generics business will slowly start getting its due justice and start driving the growth. The second part, rightly said, is availability. Today, we believe there are villages of 50, 60 households where obviously a branded medicine or a doctor, it's tough to go there. So trade generics will play its role to ensure that the medicine is delivered. And we are doing that. We are doing it as a part of our expansion plan, where we are primarily planning to go in the interiors rather than focus just on the metro and tier 1, because that's where the real opportunity for the trade generics business lies. So like what I said, one is the accessibility, second is the patient awareness, availability is another part of it, not just in chemist, because today I've seen a lot of times patients don't understand what's branded, what's generics. Probably it's the chemist. And over a period of time, they have also probably understood that, okay, if you have a trade generics medicine from a top ranking company, the quality is guaranteed. So they are also now becoming a bit more positive, accepting trade generics. So I guess these couple of things will help drive the sector, because it's already growing faster than the branded, and it will probably continue to grow faster than branded.
So I think in the first round of questions itself, we have touched a lot about affordability, but still stressing affordability as our main theme itself, like cost to value based. So I would like to go to Mr. Giri now. As we see generics being produced at large scale, often through third-party manufacturers in places like Buddy and Sikkim, how can the industry ensure consistent quality given the trust issue highlighted by, like, we had cough syrup incidents, right? So we had several of this coming in and out. So what steps should companies take to ensure high standards, especially in the generic market, to rebuild patient trust?
So this is the elephant in the room that we need to address. So somehow, as Ashutosh you said, the word generics has connotations of low quality and all of that, and therefore, as said, we have moved. We have not stopped calling ourselves internally in Gland. We call ourselves an affordable business, medicine business. On the trust side, I think there's a long way to go, and regulators will play a very, very important role here. The kind of it is all about creating barriers at one hand, and it is all about also creating awareness among the public in large of what the generic stands for. And I think at both the levels, government and the industry will have to push that agenda. Now, most often what happens is many Indian companies also have their generic division and their branded division. So there is a conflict in terms of what get pushed. As a CDMO, we are very clear of our business model. We are not direct in India. We, as I told you, we have US FDA plans all over. So quality is paramount here. And at the same time, we don't have access to public not being direct in India. So the companies really have to take this position, and there is a trend in many Indian companies. I'm sure Ashutosh, as Ashutosh said, the generic divisions are growing much faster than the branded business. So that change of the shift, the transition in terms of building awareness around generic side is something that is key here. While on the branded side, the marketing spend, etc., are good enough to create awareness on therapies, medicine, brands, and all of that. So now the transition, for of course we can start with tier 4, tier 5 cities. Can have in plan where slowly you keep your branded side alive in the metro tier 1, but you keep your generic business, spend something more than in marketing there in tier 4, tier 5. And that's one part, industry part. And regulators, of course, have to be more tighter. There has to be penalties now to be imposed in terms of shutting down factories who are not complying to GMPs. And yeah, they have started, but I think there's a lot of room still to be more aggressive there as a regulator.
If you want to add some more to it.
I guess this point, one policy which can probably change the game is where the government interventions are there specifically on the manufacturing side rather than the marketing side of probably checking the quality standards. And like a year back, we had met E. Ishwara Reddy, where he said that we are very serious about it, and you will see the kind of steps that are being taken by the government around that in due course. And this is something which is reality. A lot of setups which are not complying to the norms and standards which are to be followed for manufacturing of medicines, they're getting closed. So obviously, like what I said, medicines are for curing a patient and not for sales and marketing. That's the basic thing which people need to understand. And this is where probably it will give the further boost. Thank you.
Mr. Amit, adding to both the gentlemen, you have any added points? And also, as the founder of India's fastest growing affordable pharmacy chain like Dawaa Dost, you are enabling people to save on medicines cost approximately 50 to 80%, I believe. So, what strategies have been key to balancing affordability with quality, and how do you address these concerns that may arise from patients when it comes to trusting generic medicines? If you can club both the questions of what I had asked earlier, yeah.
Yes, I think the big learning for us was that if we work with the top pharma companies of India, so pick up examples, Lupin, Cipla, Alchem, all of them have this fantastic trade generic segments of business. If we enable and educate, the Dost in Dawaa Dost is to educate you that there is a trade generic available and you can save. Our corporate motto is Adha Dham Pura Kam, so at least save 50%. Today we are proud, we have more than 100,000 medicines in India where we can honor this promise of 50% or higher savings to you. And this is not a CAC to LTV story of saying, oh, I'm doing this for a transaction and then follow through will not happen. This is consistent lifetime saving of 50% or higher. And as the country gravitates towards more and more chronic ailments and the continuum of care needed, the pricing to the patient becomes very, very valuable. For us as business owners, the quality working with the large pharma companies enables us to think through saying, there is better quality standards that come. Uh, and for the end patient and say the doctors who are writing the prescription, every time I give them say a Lupin recommendation and they take it back to the doctor, it's a very unlike situation that a doctor would say, "Arey, dawai kaam nahi karega." Like it's, they also trust that, right? Saying, this is not a generic from an Amit Choudhary brand of medicine or something I just sourced from Baddi and put it and gave it to you. And I think that part of trust building activity with customers is helping build this whole ecosystem together.
So next comes the cost part. So again, going to Mr. Giri, how do cost factors impact prescribing decision in critical care areas where Gland Pharma operates? And have you observed any policy-driven shift towards generics in hospital settings and institutional buying? In case where branded drugs dominate, what factors make them the preferred choice despite higher costs?
So the institutional buying, is a function of course, evolving clinical evidences, cost pressure, very importantly, and of course, the trust that the institution has on the supplier. Of late, since we are a B2B player, it doesn't impact us as a company, but we have seen and we have seen and felt the cost pressures, coming up from the institution side, and therefore it is very, very important that uh, we maintain the cost leadership as a manufacturer. Of course, on the branded side, the whole fact that they have this evidence of clinical efficacy and trust, there's a physician preference involved, and there are regulatory hurdles in terms of getting complex generics out in the market, like biosimilars and all of that. Okay, so branded drugs are still preferred, but uh, we we have as manufacturer felt the pressure, cost pressure, from the institution. There's no policy per se, but we have feeling the pressure, like every is an everyday affair for us as a manufacturer.
Okay, so let me go to Mr. Ashutosh. How do patients perceive trade generics compared to branded medication in terms of effectiveness, safety, quality, and trust? And how does this affect their medication choices?
I guess I touched on this point, but probably just to kind of detail it out. And so there was some study done in 2018 where people were asked, like, why wouldn't you trust a generics medicine? Almost 61% said that we don't know the quality. Okay. Again, another study was done, not similar, but by someone else, be in like 2021. That percentage has now shot up where 50% feel the quality is good, 7% feel that we still don't like, 43% people are neutral. So you can see over a period of time with the awareness and probably post usage of trade generics medicine, uh, people realize that these are good quality medicines. It just means, see, in India, you always feel that cheap is bad quality, right? Somewhere that has been ingrained in our minds that something which comes cheap has something which is not there in a premium product. But it's not the case. You have different pricing strategies for it. You have different costing mechanisms for it. So I guess somewhere that patient awareness is going up, and I'd also really thank the government for doing it. A lot of government policies, a lot of government yojanas, what they call, are centered around the trade generics business. Talk about Jan Aushadhi stores. I don't know like where they will scale it up. It's right now around 24,000, but they have plans to make it into lakhs, and people are slowly going to the stores. It's not just about see Janaushadhi stores, the PMJAY. A lot of these things are around generics, and there even the government is kind of having stringent norms where we also want good quality better company medicines to come even to them so that the quality is guaranteed. I guess that's one part. And see, once, like, okay, I have a very close friend of mine. He started, so he's a chronic patient, and he suddenly shifted to trade generics medicine because the chemist said that, sir, why don't you use it? And now he's completely shifted. But his wife still feels, no, I'm not going to shift. So wife still continues to use the branded generics. So I guess somewhere after the usage, when people realize that no, the quality is same, the efficacy is same, the effect is same, effectiveness is same, I guess that's where once you create that awareness, once people start consuming it, that's the proof of concept, and then probably it will start creating the ripples.
But I hope all the Jana Aushadhi stores have the enough generic medicines. That is a different debate, because most of them don't find their way.
Over a period of time it
Yeah.
will happen, because like what I said, their rules and norms are changing. Because earlier, probably if they would have approached me, probably I would not be able to supply those medicines at this particular cost which they're expecting. So I guess over a period of time they have realized that everything can't be so cheap. So but then somewhere that's the thin line between, or that's a threshold which probably both the stakeholders can manage and do justice to the patients.
Yeah. I hope it gets better. I would go to Mr. Amit. Maybe you can summarize the cost part here, Mr. Amit. What role does pricing play in patient preference between generic and branded is one thing we want to know. And have you observed any significant shift in prescribing patterns among healthcare providers towards generics in India? Are there any specific branded drugs that continue to hold an edge over generic? Maybe you can go, like you can say maybe the cancer drugs, if you can just give us few examples for a better understanding.
So on the first part, which is the cost to customer perspective, I think it starts, like if you think an average prescription length in India is around 4 medicines. So a patient journey typically starts with 1 or 2 medicines from the trade generic segment, 1 or 2 from what the doctor is recommended. And once she consumes and sees that there is no difference between the two, over a couple of transactions, she will kind of convert. I think the difference that we see in terms of adoption, the best early adopters have actually been the middle class families of India, who are fairly well educated, who can understand from with you why they are the same. Uh, when they convert, the lower middle class and the rural population kind of follows because they are their influencers, in terms of there. And we see a good mix of, people who can afford the full priced medicine but wanting trade generic because for them it gets tagged as a smart choice. For people who just can't afford, choice ही नहीं है मतलब उनको तो getting, like today we sell a metformin or an amlodipine, which is the starter medication for the chronic ailments, at 1 rupee a day, and उनके लिए that is like wow for them because an average price is 3x 4x of that, and उनके लिए affordability वही है. And when we kind of look at our customer journey on that side and the impact, we see a dramatic shift in adherence. So one of the missing link in India, even for people who are taking medicines, and who can't afford, is they take medicine sporadically. So today, if any one of us is diagnosed with, say, diabetes, for example, nothing will happen if I don't take diabetes medicine every day, right? Visibly, if I am on start, like metformin 500 as a starter medication for 10 years, kuch pata hi nahi chalega. And then it will kind of graduate into more healthcare problem. So what we are seeing is because the pricing is so comfortable now for them, they're saving around 1,500, 2,000 rupees a month on medicines bill buying from us. The adherence rates are going up. And one of the things you kind of, when you put the entire piece together and look at trade generic segment, the volume growth that you're seeing there, a lot of it is coming because effectively the adherence rates in India are also going up with the affordability segment. In terms of your second question around, are we seeing enough prescriptions coming which are mentioned, which have generics? Unfortunately, no. We've now actually built a tech solution. We'll launch it next week where we can read a handwritten prescription, validate it using our machine learning programs, get a pharmacist because it's legally required to like digitally sign it, and give you as a patient a digital prescription, a copy of that, within all in 10 seconds. So sometime Monday, Tuesday next week, we should be live on our site with that. I think we just filed a patent today for that, and we will kind of launch this, which from a government's perspective eliminates the need of like this the debate between how do you read a prescription and what medicine has been written. We said once I know, it's say PAN 40 as an example, I know it's pantoprazole 40 mg. To you as an end customer, I can give you saying it is PAN 40, so that handwritten is typed out, and it's pantoprazole 40 capsule, right? And you can then choose whether you want to buy different pantoprazole or you want to buy PAN 40.
Anything on the regulatory landscape you would want to comment? Like what kind of changes would help, the dark horse to be coming into the light? Mr. Giri, anything which you would like to talk about? Any one or two points?
I haven't seen much.
Much.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Prathiba, I haven't seen much of a traction there. Of course, the government once tried that, all the government hospital doctors should write the generic name and all of that, but didn't pass the test of time. I think in times to come, we'll have to work more on the supply side than the demand side. And the companies will companies like Amit and manufacturers and marketing companies like us will have an important role to play there. But I don't know whether
Any comments, Mr.
Amit and
on the
Ashutosh-
regulatory challenges or the
So-
landscape itself? It's a
So I
time you can
guess-
talk to the government.
So, see, I personally feel that the ecosystem has to change. You can't change one player. Like, just to give you a scenario that tomorrow, assume that a doctor prescribes a medication with just a molecule written, and assume that a chemist gives a very low quality drug by a local quality, like local, and the patient doesn't recover. Who's responsible for it? I guess there is an overall ecosystem revamp that's required, right from like what I said, right from the manufacturing to the marketing, then the supply side things, distribution, obviously, then going to the demand side, which is either the HCPs or the chemists. And I guess once this entire ecosystem happens, then probably we can talk about the generic prescriptions being a reality. Till then, it will always have probably a molecule name written, but definitely followed by a brand, which is kind of a reference or which is kind of being requested. It could not. It may be couple of brands being mentioned by a doctor just to ensure that it's not just one brand and it kind of looks generic. But there will definitely be some brands which will be mentioned just to ensure that the patient gets high quality.
Maybe you read my mind or maybe you read my paper. The last question you have answered, now the rapid question. Anyways, to Mr. Amit, if you can, talk about how can India's pharma ecosystem accelerate the adoption of high quality, generics while addressing trust, regulatory hurdles, and the cost concerns? If you can, wrap it up together for us.
Yes, I think there is a missed opportunity, and again I say this with all humbleness because I am very new to the industry per se. I think where people are missing is the continuum of care that the India or Bharat needs, where identification of the disease to chronic ailment management. Chronic ailment is unlike acute, which is saying just transact. So acute is very transactional, right? For everyone in the ecosystem, I have fever, I take paracetamol, get better, end of transaction. I think we are headed towards a massive meltdown in terms of chronic adoption. I think pharma companies need to also kind of think that through in terms of how you do. Uh, and I think adherence, and if you think of it as a volume expansion, I personally believe if we focus, all of us collectively focus on driving adherence of the prescription, which is, do I take India's adherence for all practical purposes sub 10% now. So if we drive adherence collectively, we would see the category and the business grow. Country getting much healthier, right? The trickle down impact on the country in terms of DALYs or any other metrics that you pick up would be massive over the next 10, 15 years. So that's how I kind of see it.
Mr. Giri, if you want to add up anything to it, or should I?
No,
Yeah,
I think,
okay, fine.
Yeah.
So,
It's
any
good.
questions from the audience? Last panel. Oh, so I had audience who listened. Can we have the mic, please?
Good evening. Thank you for the session. My name is Amit. So, yeah, when I'm doing the training part, I always ask the people about that what is generic and what is branded. And I feel still there is a miscommunications in that, right? That generic is just the low cost medicines. Right now, we are also talking about the branded generic. So when the brand name comes, they feel that there is a more money going on that. However, till even we are any educated people, MBA persons, still they doesn't know the how to check the quality of the medicines, right? We still check just the expiry date on that part. So, is there any education systems or to educate the normal people, especially to Amit sir, that you are reaching to that part, or anything like any thing that we educate them to check the quality, whether it is generic or branded, how they can check the quality of their medicines.
So two parts of the answer. First,
Sure.
whether it is generic or not generic, or so globally there are only two medicines. Either it's patented or it's off patented.
Correct.
Off patented is generic.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to know if that medicine is available and marketed by more than one company, it's a generic medicine. That's the easiest way to figure out.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you exclude certain specialty problems in India like onco, etc., pretty much all prescriptions that walk in, any medicine that's given to us is generic. So every time you interact with Dawaa Dost, you will hear saying, "Aapka prescription generic hai," because that's a default answer we give because it's, as you rightly said, it's the shock value because most people don't know whether your prescription is generic or a patented, medicine prescription. In terms of quality, my suggestion is twofold. So one, you can still save a lot of money by just buying medicines from top companies like Cipla, Lupin, Alchem, Abbott, etc. So if you stick to the top 10, 15 pharma companies of India, they have great GMP practices in the backend. One of the things we do as a check is also see if it is like GMP certified, does it get WHO, the manufacturing side, not the brand on top of it. But our sense of whatever 6 years of experience, if you stick to the top 10, 15 companies, you're pretty much assured of a good quality medicine. You're pretty much assured you will save a lot of money. I'm saying Adha Dam Pura Kam, but you can save 50, 60% of your prescription value just by sticking to the top 10, 15 companies of India.
Just to add one more thing,
Sure.
I guess going a level below, after the patented and off patented, you have generics. There's something in India called branded and trade. Okay, the thing is, the channel is different. It's still a prescription medicine, probably branded drugs. The demand is created more through the doctor prescription, whereas in trade generics, the channel is more towards the distributors, stockists, and then the chemist. But obviously, if you're taking it from a top-notch company like what Amit said, the quality is guaranteed, the price is maybe.
Yeah. So just want to add because here there is a so the Sector Skill Council LSSDC, we are adding a one curriculum into the schools like 11, 12 kind of things where they educate the students where the how to get check the quality of the medicines in general. What are the parameters, right? So I think that is what most needed to get confusions out from that generic and branded.
Thank you so much. Maybe more questions during the networking time, please, because these three gentlemen to get hold of them is difficult, and I have rapid fire round. I don't want to leave it. So I would ask to Mr. Amit, it's a rapid fire, yes or no, or in single words. Biggest myth about generic medicines? You can't take so
Quality.
much of time. Yeah.
Quality.
Quality. One thing branded medicines have that generics don't.
No difference.
Okay. To Mr. Giri. Generics or branded, which will dominate India's future?
High quality generics.
High quality. What is the biggest hurdle in making generics the first choice for prescription?
Awareness.
To Mr. Ashutosh.
I've been always the last and the toughest one to get. Yeah.
No.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You have been branded for 8 years and generics in 2 years. Which do you prefer? Just because you are here in generics, you should not say that.
It's generics, obviously. And this is what I've done.
I
Like,
expected
I
this.
was in branded and now I take generics, and I guess the quality is exactly
Okay.
the same.
One policy change that could accelerate generic adoption in India.
I guess he rightly said quality. If
Quality.
quality standards are being ensured, I guess they will shoot up like anything.
Thanks for the time. Thank you so much.